we're just so thankful that we have really built a movement out here. And it's really remarkable. I mean, first of all, I don't know if you all are feeling this way. I'm feeling almost a little emotional right now because we have spent a year in isolation, and we've spent a year and a long winter quarantining, and now to be at an event. We've got Tiffany Cavan right here. What's up? We got on her shoulders is Axel. Hey, Axel. Axel started volunteering with us, I don't know, maybe 2 years old or so. And now you're 5. I'm not saying you're 2, but you started with us when you're 2, now you're 5, right? You're a big boy with us now. And I'm so thankful that all of us are here together, because after that long year, we are now coming together in community and solidarity and connectedness with one another in the earth that we live on. And we're doing it to create not just a more sustainable way of life, but to create a more sustainable society that we can pass along to our kids. Because that's ultimately what this climate crisis is all about. We hear about our conversations around climate and saying climate change is human-made, it's human-caused. It's more than that. It's not just that it's human-caused, it's societally caused. And the way that we have structured our society is unsustainable. The way we have structured our society is unsustainable. It is showing up in the climate crisis, but it's also showing up in our healthcare crisis. It's showing up in our housing crisis. It's showing up in our crisis of wages. And what you all represent, what this gathering here represents, is the solution. It's the way and the how we're going to work through this and establish in a society that we are proud to live in. So this week, we proudly unveiled the Green New Deal for the 117th Congress. For those of you who may not know, the Green New Deal is a sweeping yes, it's revolutionary, I would say, but it's a sweeping resolution that seeks to decarbonize our economy and pegs that timeline, not to say that we should peg it, but from when the science says that we should peg it. To decarbonize our economy with a 10-year timeline. But it addresses the systemic causes, the systemic societal causes that keep us from getting there. Which means we need to create 20 million jobs in the United States to do that, and they gotta be union jobs. And in order to make 20 million union jobs in the United States, we need to have guaranteed health care in the United States. Once we have dignified working class jobs and guaranteed health care, you know what else we need to do? We need to have affordable housing, actually affordable housing in the United States. It also goes even deeper to acknowledge that the whole reason and a big reason why we've even allowed and accepted these unsustainable conditions in the first place is because we have accepted injustice in frontline and most deeply marginalized communities, and so we are going to prioritize them and put them first. We're going to fix the pipes in Flint and replace every lead pipe in the United States of America. We're going to not just invest to patch up the holes, but we are going to work with our brothers and sisters in NYCHA in making world-class housing and public housing right here in the United States. And we are finally going to do right by our Native brothers and sisters in ensuring that their treaty rights are acknowledged, upholded, and enforced here in the United States. So when we first unveiled it 2 years ago, we saw that opposition was ferocious. We had Tucker Carlson, we had we had Donald Trump, we had all these folks, I'm trying to be polite, all these folks that are funded by the fossil fuel industry. And by the way, when we talk about money in politics, and we talk about how much that's a problem, right? We know about how the Koch brothers have bought and purchased so many of the elections and the campaigns here throughout the country and at different levels. But do you know where the Koch brothers got their money from? They're an oil oligarch family. So when we talk about money in politics, we are talking about oil money in politics, we're talking about fossil fuel money in politics, we're talking about Wall Street money in politics. And so they did a number on it, TV commercials, everything. We're not going to allow our water to be compromised. We're not going to allow our air to be compromised, because the thing with fracking is, especially when it comes to fracking, is that the methane leaks from fracking are up to 68 times more concentrated than CO2 emissions. They stay in our environment longer, and what's even worse is that if you have a car, that's burning emissions, you can at least see that. Methane emissions are invisible. So you'll be breathing them in, or they'll be in the environment, and we can't even see it. Not recently, in 2019, I visited some communities in Colorado. In Colorado, the property rights have been completely taken over by corporate interests. So you can buy a house, and a corporation can put a fracking pipeline under your land, and a lot of people don't even know it. And they'll open their windows, and all of a sudden they would breathe in, and their throats would be burning, and they didn't know why, because they couldn't see anything in the air. We're not gonna let that happen here in Astoria. No, we're not. Not only are we not gonna let that happen here in Astoria, but we're gonna fight for offshore wind and make sure that our community actually gets those jobs, not empty promises from corporations, but that we're actually using our facilities, our public colleges like SUNY Maritime right across the river in Throgs Neck. They are going to train folks right here in our community to learn the skills to build wind turbines and install solar, and have it be union jobs. That is what our path forward is. That's what we're gonna do with advocacy, with community activists, with parents, with kids. That's what this future is all about. We're working with farmers and ranchers on topsoil and investing in regenerative agriculture practices, so that not only is the food that we grow sustainable in terms of preserving topsoil, but that it's healthier for our families. We're gonna make sure that immigrant families are fully recognized and honored in the United States, because they are the hand that feeds us so very often. We're gonna make sure that, speaking of the hands that feed us, that in work like restaurant work that I come from and hospitality, that too is fully honored, that people are paid a living wage, that we raise the minimum wage, and that we make sure that people are fully protected at work. That's the fight that we have ahead of us. And I'm so happy to say that finally, after so long, we're winning. We're winning. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. And it's a hard road, and it can be complicated, and we're gonna wrestle with important questions together, but that is the key word: together. Together is the how, together is the what, together is the why. Community is everything. It will be the center in our organizing principle, because love for one another, trust of one another, forgiveness of one another, compassion for one another are the key principles that we're gonna have to organize our society around to have that sustainable future. So thank you. Thank you.